The Galactic Empire was the largest power in the known universe. For centuries, its vast fleets and armies had controlled thousands of star systems. Its leaders believed no one could stand against them. They were confident, even proud. But on the edge of their empire, on a small dusty planet called Valora, something was happening that shook the Empire's pride to its core. Valora was a quiet world, mostly deserts and rocky plains. It wasn't important to the Empire at first. But then a small group of rebels appeared. They were unlike any enemy the Empire had faced before. The rebels were fewer in number and poorly equipped compared to the Empire's mighty forces. Yet they fought with skill and courage. The Empire sent a battalion to crush the rebellion quickly. General Karen, a hard and experienced officer, led the mission. He was sure the rebels would be crushed within days. But when the battle ended, the result surprised him. The rebels had disappeared. The Empire's soldiers found their camps empty, but the damage was great. Several Imperial ships were destroyed, many soldiers lost. The rebels had won a small victory. Even worse, they had vanished without a trace. Back on the Empire's command ship, Karen sat in a large room filled with glowing screens and officers. Maps of Valora showed red marks where the fighting had been fiercest. Karen looked tired. His usually sharp eyes were heavy with concern. "Report," Karen said. His voice was low and steady. "Sir," one officer began, "our forces suffered 30% casualties. The rebels took out 3 of our cruisers and 2 landing ships. Yet when we searched their camps, we found little evidence of their forces. It's as if they vanished into thin air." Another officer stepped forward. "The rebels only had about 2,000 fighters on Valora. Our scouts confirmed no reinforcements arrived. They should not have been able to fight so well." Karen frowned. "Then how did they cause so much damage? This makes no sense. 2,000 against 20,000, our numbers should have been overwhelming." The officers looked at each other. No one had an answer. Late that night, Karen stood on the deck of his ship, staring at Valora's horizon. The planet looked calm and peaceful now, but he knew danger lurked beneath its surface. The rebels were not just a small, weak group. Something was different here. The Empire's intelligence officers worked hard to learn more. They sent spies, scanners and probes, but nothing showed a larger rebel force. The rebels were experts at hiding. Their camps moved often. Their ships rarely stayed in one place. The Empire's leaders grew frustrated. The news soon spread to the highest levels of the Empire. Emperor Valen, a man who had ruled for decades, listened carefully during a war council meeting. Around a long table sat the Empire's best generals and advisors. Everyone was tense. "This rebellion cannot be ignored," Valen said. His voice was calm but firm. "If these rebels are as weak as our reports say, why did they cause so much trouble? Why did they almost destroy a whole fleet?" A senior advisor replied, "Your Majesty, the rebels' strength may lie in their tactics and technology, not numbers. They could have developed weapons or strategies we do not yet understand." Valen nodded. "I want all our forces ready. We cannot lose Valora. It is a symbol of our power. But more importantly, we must find out what we are truly facing. This may be just the beginning." Back on Valora, the rebels prepared quietly. Their leader, a woman named Arya, was young but brilliant. She had studied the Empire for years, learning its weaknesses. Arya knew the Empire believed their numbers were small, but in truth their full army was hidden. Arya walked among her fighters. Their faces were tired but full of hope. "We must stay strong," she told them. "The Empire thinks we are weak, but they have seen only a part of us. Soon, they will know the truth." Her second-in-command, a tall man named Jax, approached. "Arya, the scouts report Imperial ships moving closer. They plan another attack." Arya nodded. "Then we must be ready. We will not fight like before. This time, we will show them our full strength." The rebels worked fast. They moved hidden, bases into rocky caves and deserts. They repaired ships in secret, and most importantly, more fighters arrived, from distant planets that hated the Empire's rule. The Empire believed the rebels were small in number. They thought the battle on Valora was the whole fight. but the rebels had saved their best forces for the real war. Weeks passed. The Empire prepared its new fleet. The generals expected an easy victory, but deep in space, a huge rebel armada gathered. Thousands of ships, many hidden by advanced cloaking devices, waited silently. One of the Empire's commanders, Captain Lees, was sent to scout the rebel fleet. His small ship moved quietly through space. When he sent back his report, the council was shocked. "Captain, what did you find?" Valen asked. Lees's voice was steady but tense. "Your Majesty, the rebels' full army is far larger than we thought. We saw dozens of capital ships, thousands of fighters. They outnumber us in some areas. This is no small rebellion. It's an invasion force." The room went silent. "How could they hide this from us?" a general whispered. Valen stood slowly. His face was hard. "We underestimated them. This was a mistake we cannot afford. Prepare all forces for war. The Empire will not be defeated." Far away, Arya smiled as she listened to intercepted Imperial communications. The Empire was scared. They thought the rebels were small and weak, but now the rebels' true power was ready to be revealed, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The Empire's warships moved through the black silence of space. Their bright engines cut the darkness as they headed toward the star system Valora had reported from. The fleet was larger than any before, over 50 cruisers, dozens of fighters, and a massive command ship at the center. The Empire believed this force would crush the rebels once and for all. General Karen stood on the bridge of the command ship Dominion. His eyes scanned the stars ahead, but his mind was troubled. The previous battle on Valora had shaken him. Now the Empire's scanners showed strange readings from a nearby system, called Xiron 7. No colony ships, no military bases, no space stations, nothing official was there, but the sensors picked up something unusual. "Sir," said an officer, "there are signs of cloaked ships in the Xiron system. Their energy signatures are faint, but they are definitely there." Karen frowned. "How many?" "Too many to count, sir. Our scanners cannot get a clear reading because of their cloaking technology." Karen's jaw tightened. "The rebels must be hiding a fleet there. We need to send a reconnaissance team immediately." A small, fast scout ship detached from the Dominion and sped towards Xiron 7. Captain Lice, the young scout who had earlier reported the rebels' hidden strength, was chosen for this mission. His ship, the Shadowhawk, was designed for stealth. Lice knew the risks. If caught, the Empire could lose valuable information. But the Empire needed to know what was truly waiting in the shadows. As Lice entered Xiron 7's orbit, the cloaking fields shimmered faintly in the darkness. He activated his most sensitive sensors and began scanning. What he saw shocked him. Before him lay a massive hidden armada. Thousands of rebel ships, from small fighters to huge warships, floated silently among the asteroids and gas clouds. Their dark hulls blended perfectly with space, invisible to normal eyes. The rebels had built a hidden fortress right inside the star system, waiting for the right moment to strike. Lee sent a quick message back to the Dominion. "This is worse than we thought. The rebels' fleet here is larger than our entire force. They have been hiding it for months." Back on the command ship, the message caused a stir. The Empire's leaders had expected some resistance, but this was beyond anything they imagined. Karen spoke to the War Council through a secure channel. "This changes everything. The rebels have a full army hidden in plain sight. They are not just guerrillas, they are a real threat." An advisor, cold and precise, said, "If we attack now, we risk a major battle with unknown losses. Perhaps we should negotiate." Karen shook his head. "No, the Empire does not negotiate with rebels. We destroy them before they grow stronger." The Empire's fleet moved closer to Xiron 7, ready to launch a surprise attack. But the rebels were prepared. Inside the rebel command center, Arya watched the approaching ships on a holographic display. Her face was calm, but determined. "Our cloaking worked perfectly," she said. "They have no idea what they face." Jax, her second in command, replied, "Our fighters are ready. We can use the asteroid belts for cover and strike with precision, Arya nodded. Remember, we must protect our hidden fleet. If the Empire destroys it here, the rebellion will be finished. The rebels used their knowledge of the star system to set traps. They planted mines in asteroid fields and prepared ambush points near gas clouds. Their fighters moved swiftly, like shadows in space. When the Empire's fleet finally attacked, the battle was fierce. Explosions lit the darkness as the rebels' hidden ships revealed themselves. The Empire's cruisers fired back, but many were caught in traps. Mines tore through hulls and hidden fighters struck from unexpected angles. General Karen watched the battle unfold. His confidence from before was gone. This was no quick fight. Hold. Formation, he ordered. Do not let them break our lines. But the rebels had a secret weapon. Arya activated a device on her command ship that sent out an electromagnetic pulse. The pulse disrupted the Empire's communication and navigation systems. Suddenly, the Empire's fleet was confused. Orders were delayed, ships lost contact, and chaos spread. In the darkness, rebel fighters moved like ghosts, striking isolated targets. The Empire's once mighty fleet began to falter. Captain Lyse struggled to regain control of his ship. They knew exactly when to strike. It's like they predicted our moves. Arya smiled as she watched the battle through her screens. They think we are weak. They don't see the shadows behind our strength. The battle raged for hours. The Empire's forces were battered and forced to retreat. Many ships were lost. The rebels held the field. When the smoke cleared, Karen sent a message to the Emperor. We underestimated them. Their full army was hidden. This battle is only the beginning. Far from the war zone, Emperor Valen listened with a hard expression. Prepare the entire Empire for war. This rebellion is no longer a nuisance, it is a threat to our very existence. Meanwhile, Arya gathered her commanders. We showed them a glimpse of our power today, she said. But we must be ready. The Empire will return with greater force. Jax looked to her. Then we fight not just for survival, but for freedom. The stars around Xiron 7 held many secrets, and the war between the Empire and the rebels was far from over. The dim light of the rebel base flickered as Arya moved through the narrow corridors. The base was carved into a giant asteroid deep within the Xiron 7 system. Around her, the hum of machinery and soft voices filled the air. The rebels were preparing for the next battle, but Arya's mind was far away, thinking of one man, Jalen. Jalen had once been a proud officer of the Galactic Empire. For years, he followed orders without question, believing the Empire's rule was just and necessary. But everything changed during the battle on Valora. Jalen remembered the day clearly. He was leading a squad of soldiers through a dusty valley on Valora when they stumbled upon a small village. The villagers were simple people, farmers and traders. But the Empire accused them of helping rebels. Without trial or mercy, Jalen's orders were to destroy the village. He hesitated. His heart ached as he saw children running, mothers crying, and homes burning. In that moment, Jalen's loyalty broke. He refused to carry out the order. Instead, he helped some villagers escape and disappeared into the desert with them. Jalen became a rebel overnight. Months passed. Jalen learned how to fight in the shadows, how to survive without the Empire's protection. But more importantly, he learned why the rebels fought, not just for themselves, but for all who suffered under the Empire's harsh rule. Now, as he stood in the rebel base, Jalen prepared to meet Arya. She was the leader who had united the scattered rebel groups into a powerful force. And she had a plan that needed Jalen's unique knowledge of the Empire. Arya entered the command room where Jalen waited. You've done well, she said. Your knowledge of the Empire's tactics has helped us stay one step ahead. Jalen nodded. The Empire's strength is in its numbers and technology, but their weakness is their arrogance. They believe they are unbeatable. Arya smiled. That arrogance will be their downfall. She spread a holographic map over the table. The Empire will strike harder after the battle at Xiron 7. We need to prepare for their next move. We cannot just defend, we must attack. Jalen studied the map. The Empire's supply lines run through the Orion corridor. If we can disrupt those, their fleet will slow down. Arya agreed. Exactly. We have small teams ready to hit those supply bases, but we need something bigger, a weapon that can cripple their fleet's command. Jalen raised an eyebrow. You think such a weapon exists? Arya's eyes shone, with determination. It does. Hidden deep in the asteroid belt near Valora, there is an old research station abandoned by the Empire years ago. We believe it still holds experimental technology. Jalen smiled. I know the place. I helped build it before I left the Empire. Their plan was risky. The research station was heavily guarded by automated defenses. But if they could capture it, the rebels might gain a powerful tool. Over the next days, Jalen and a team of fighters trained for the mission. They studied blueprints, tested weapons, and prepared for the dangerous journey. Meanwhile, the Empire was not idle. Emperor Valen sat in his throne room, surrounded by his generals. The news from Xiron 7 had shaken the Empire, but they were not defeated. Valen's voice was cold and firm. We will crush this rebellion with fire and steel. Send all available fleets to the Orion corridor, cut off their supplies and starve them into submission. A general spoke up. Your Majesty, our spies report increased rebel activity near the old research station. They may try to seize it. Valen's eyes narrowed. Then we must act first. Dispatch a strike team to destroy the station if the rebels move in. We cannot let them gain any advantage. Back with the rebels, the night before the mission was tense. Jalen gathered his team for a final briefing. This will be the hardest fight we've faced, he said. The Empire's defenses are strong, but we have the advantage of surprise. If we succeed, we will change the course of this war. Arya approached, placing a hand on Jalen's shoulder. We believe in you. This mission is not just about weapons. It's about hope. With that, Jalen's team boarded their ships and launched into the blackness of space. The journey to the asteroid belt was silent and full of tension. Each pilot knew the risks, but they also knew what was at stake. As they approached the station, sensors lit up with warnings. Automated turrets activated, lasers fired through the void. The rebels dodged and weaved, fighting their way inside. Jalen led the charge into the station's control center. Inside, ancient machines hummed to life, glowing with forgotten power. We need to access the mainframe, Jalen shouted over the alarms. If we can control the station's weapon systems, we can use them against the Empire. The team worked, quickly hacking into the computer systems. Outside, enemy reinforcements arrived, but the rebels held their ground. Suddenly, the station's main weapon powered up, a massive pulse cannon designed to disable ships in a wide radius. Jalen smiled. We have the power now. Let's use it. With a single command, the station fired its pulse into deep space. The Empire's fleet near the Orion corridor was caught off guard. Ships flickered and lost control, engines sputtering and weapons silenced. The rebels had struck a powerful blow. Back at the base, Arya watched the results with pride. This is only the beginning, she said. The Empire will fear us now. Jalen looked at her, his eyes full of hope. We are no longer just survivors. We are the future. As the rebels prepared for the next battle, the galaxy waited in silence. The war was far from over, but for the first time the rebels had the chance to win. The Empire was furious. The pulse cannon from the captured research station had thrown their entire fleet in the Orion corridor into chaos. Ships drifted powerless, unable to respond, while the rebels' signal spread hope to many oppressed systems. Emperor Valen was not a man to let such a challenge go unanswered. In the vast command chamber of the Imperial Citadel, the air was thick with tension. Valen stood at the center of the room, his dark robes flowing behind him. Around him, his generals and advisors waited anxiously. We cannot allow the rebels to gain any more ground, Valen said coldly. Their hidden fleet and recent attacks threaten the stability of the Empire. It is time to crush them completely. General Karen, still haunted by the losses at Xiron 7, stepped forward. Your Majesty, we have the forces. If we strike their hidden fleet at its base, we can end this rebellion in one swift blow. Valen nodded slowly. Good. Prepare the fleet. We will launch an all-out assault on the rebel stronghold. No mercy. No mistakes. Meanwhile, far from the seat of the Empire's power, the rebels were busy preparing their defenses. Arya stood before a large map, surrounded by her commanders. The Empire will strike hard, she said. Their fleet is larger and more powerful than ever. But they still underestimate us. Jax, her trusted second-in-command, pointed at the star system. They will come through the asteroid belt. We know the terrain better than they do. We can use the environment to our advantage. Arya nodded. Exactly. We will set traps and ambush points. We must make them pay for every inch of space they try to take. The rebels worked day and night. Fighters drilled maneuvers through narrow asteroid fields. Engineers repaired damaged ships and scouts monitored Imperial movements. Every fighter knew this battle could decide the fate of the rebellion. Jalen, back from the mission to capture, the pulse cannon station joined Arya's team. His experience with the Empire's tactics was invaluable. The Empire's commanders expect a direct fight, he said. But we will give them something they don't expect. Guerrilla warfare. In space, as the Imperial fleet approached, the rebels' ambush began. Lasers and missiles exploded among the asteroids, shining like stars in the dark void. Rebel fighters used the rocky terrain to hide, striking quickly and disappearing before the Empire could respond. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Imperial ships fired their massive cannons trying to blast a path through the dense asteroid field. But every time they advanced, they met hidden defenses. General Karen watched the battle unfold. From the bridge of the flagship Dominion, his face was tight with concentration. They fight with skill and courage, he said to his officers. But we have the numbers. We will break their lines. Suddenly, alarms blared. Sir, multiple Imperial ships are disabled. An officer shouted. Their engines are failing. Karen's eyes widened. It's the pulse cannon from the research station. They used it again. The weapon fired once more, sending a shockwave that disrupted the Empire's ships. Several cruisers lost power and drifted helplessly, easy targets for the rebels. The tide of the battle turned. Arya's fleet pressed the advantage. Rebel fighters swarmed around disabled ships, disabling them completely or forcing crews to surrender. The rebels took prisoners but treated them with respect, hoping to win hearts and minds. Amidst the chaos, Arya received a transmission from a scout ship. Commander, we've detected a secret Imperial weapon being prepared near the fleet's rear. It could destroy our entire base. Arya's eyes narrowed. We must act fast. She ordered a small strike team, including Jalen and Jax, to destroy the weapon before it could be used. The team moved quickly, slipping through the debris and wreckage of the battlefield. They reached the enemy's hidden facility, a massive warship outfitted with a powerful new weapon. The strike team planted explosives and fought off guards. Time was running out, but they succeeded in destroying the weapon just before it could fire. Back at the rebel base, Arya breathed a sigh of relief. That was close. But the battle was far from over. The Empire, enraged by their losses, launched a final desperate assault. Their biggest ships focused fire on the rebel base, causing heavy damage. Rebel ships fought back fiercely, but some bases were destroyed. Many rebels died defending their home. General Karen's voice crackled over the comms, cold and determined. Rebels, surrender now and your lives will be spared. Arya's reply was firm and fearless. We will never surrender. Freedom is worth any cost. The rebel fleet, though battered, held strong. The Empire's forces were forced to retreat, nursing their wounds and counting their losses. As the dust settled, Arya gathered her commanders. We showed the Empire we are not afraid, she said, but this war will be long. We must grow, stronger. Jalen nodded. The Empire will return, but so will we. Stronger, wiser, and united. In the dark depths of space, the battle had only just begun. The battle at the asteroid belt had left scars on both sides. The Empire's fleet was battered, their ships damaged and crews shaken. But the rebels were not safe either. Their bases had been hit hard, many fighters lost, and supplies running low. Still, the rebels' victory sent a powerful message. Across many worlds under the Empire's control, whispers of hope spread like wildfire. People who had lived in fear began to believe the impossible, that the Empire could be beaten. On the rebel flagship Freedom's Light, Arya stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. Her face was tired but determined. "We have struck a blow," she told her commanders. "But the war is far from over. The Empire is wounded but still dangerous." Jalen stood beside her, reviewing the latest intelligence. "We need more fighters, more ships. The Empire controls most of the galaxy's resources. We cannot match their strength with what we have." Arya nodded. "Then we must find allies. There are many planets unhappy with the Empire's rule. We will reach out to them." Their plan was bold but necessary. Rebel envoys would travel to distant systems calling for rebellion. They promised freedom, justice, and hope to oppressed peoples. The news of the rebels' successes and their offer of alliance spread quickly. Small groups of freedom fighters on other planets rose up. Some planets secretly sent ships and supplies to the rebels. Slowly but surely, the rebellion grew. On the Empire's side, Emperor Valen grew more worried. His generals reported increased unrest throughout the galaxy. Systems once loyal were now questioning their allegiance. Valen's cold gaze scanned the reports. "They have found new allies," he said grimly. "This rebellion is no longer a local problem. It threatens the Empire's very foundations." General Karen, still leading the Imperial fleet, reported back. "Your Majesty, the rebels are becoming more organized and better equipped. Their new weapon from the research station has given them an edge. We cannot underestimate them." Valen's voice was hard. "Prepare the fleet for a new campaign. Crush these rebels before their movement becomes unstoppable." Back with the rebels, life was hard, but full of hope. Arya visited a small farming planet recently freed from Imperial control. She walked among the people, listening to their stories. A farmer named Toma spoke quietly. "For years we lived in fear. But now we see a future where our children can grow up free." Arya smiled. "Your courage inspires us all. Together we will build a galaxy where no one lives under fear." But danger was never far. Imperial patrols continued to hunt rebels and sympathizers. Many battles were small and brutal, fought on the ground and in space. One day, while scouting a remote planet, Jalen's team was ambushed by Imperial forces. A fierce firefight broke out in the dense forests. Despite being outnumbered, the rebels fought with determination. Jalen's leadership saved many lives, but some fighters fell. Back at the rebel base, Arya received the news. Her face showed sadness, but also strength. "We mourn the lost," she said, "but we must carry on. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten." The war was taking its toll on everyone, but it also brought out the best. Ordinary people became heroes, risking everything for freedom. Meanwhile, the Empire's grip was slipping. More systems declared independence or refused to send resources. Supply lines were stretched thin. One night, as Arya prepared for another mission, her communications officer brought urgent news. "Commander, intercepted Imperial transmissions. Show they plan to attack the rebel stronghold on Valora soon. Their fleet is gathering." Arya's eyes narrowed. "Then we must prepare. This will be the greatest battle yet." She gathered her commanders. "The Empire fears us because we fight not only with weapons but with hope. We must protect that hope." As the rebel fleet readied itself, civilians on Valora helped build defenses and tend to the wounded. The whole planet was united. The stage was set for a final confrontation. Stars shone cold and distant as the Empire's fleet approached Valora. But this time, the rebels were ready. They had more ships, more fighters, and most importantly, allies across the galaxy. When the battle began, it was fierce and relentless. The Empire poured all its strength into one final strike, but the rebels fought with the power of many worlds behind them. Explosions lit the void, lasers and missiles tore through the darkness. The rebels used every tactic they knew: ambushes, traps, and coordinated attacks. Amid the chaos, Arya led her fighters into the heart of the battle. Her voice was steady over the comms, inspiring courage and hope. The fight lasted for hours. Many ships were lost on both sides, but in the end, the Empire's forces began to fall back. General Karen's voice came over the comms, heavy with defeat. The rebellion, stronger than we imagined, withdrawing. As the Imperial fleet retreated, cheers erupted on the rebel ships. Arya looked at the stars again, her heart full of hope. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The Empire will fall, and a new galaxy will rise." The Empire had always believed itself unstoppable. Its fleets numbered in the thousands, its soldiers were well trained, and its control over the galaxy seemed absolute. Yet, as the smoke cleared from the Battle of Valora, a new truth became painfully clear. The Empire was terrified. In the grand hall of the Imperial Palace, Emperor Valen sat upon his throne, surrounded by his most trusted advisors and generals. The room was filled with tension, the air thick with fear and uncertainty. One of his generals, the battle-worn General Karen, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the rebels' full army was far larger than we imagined. Their recent victories have inspired systems across the galaxy to rise against us. We face a threat unlike any before." Valen's eyes darkened. "You mean to say that what we fought at Valora was only a part of their strength?" Karen nodded gravely. "Yes, Your Majesty. Their true power has been hidden well. They have gathered allies, weapons, and hope. The rebellion has become a force that can topple empires." The Emperor's fist clenched. "We will not fall. Prepare the fleets. We will show them the might of the Empire." But even as the Imperial war machines rumbled to life, many within the Empire's ranks whispered in fear. The rebellion was no longer just a challenge. It was an unstoppable storm. Meanwhile, Arya stood aboard the rebel flagship Freedom's Light, surrounded by her commanders and fighters. The victory at Valora had been a turning point, but she knew the war was far from over. "We have done what many thought impossible," she said quietly. "But the Empire will not surrender. They will come back with everything they have." Jalen, standing beside her, spoke with calm strength. "Then we must be ready. We have allies now. Planets willing to fight for freedom. The galaxy is waking." Arya looked out at the stars. "It is time to show the Empire what it means to face a people united." Across the galaxy, the rebellion's message spread like wildfire. Systems that once bowed to the Empire began to reject its rule openly. Ships flew the rebel flag, and soldiers from all backgrounds joined the cause. On the battlefield, rebel and Imperial fleets clashed repeatedly. Each battle was fierce, costly, but the rebels' determination never wavered. Their tactics improved, their numbers grew, and their hope burned brighter than any weapon. The Empire's fear deepened. Stories of rebel victories, their courage, and unity spread even among the highest ranks of Imperial officers. Some began to question their loyalty. Others prepared for a future they could no longer control. One night, Emperor Valen stood alone on the balcony of his palace, gazing into the dark sky. The stars, once a symbol of his power, now seemed distant and cold. A voice came behind him, an advisor he trusted. "Your Majesty, the galaxy is changing. The Empire cannot hold forever." Valen turned slowly, his eyes hard but thoughtful. "Then we must change too. Adapt or fall." Back with the rebels, Arya received reports of new planets joining their cause. The rebellion was no longer small or secret. It was a movement, a new beginning. She gathered her commanders for a final plan. "The Empire will come at us with everything it has," she said, "but we fight for more than survival. We fight for freedom, for hope, for a future where no one lives in fear." Jalen smiled. "We have faced their full army, and we have not broken." Arya nodded. "The galaxy is ours to build, together." As the rebel fleet prepared for the battles ahead, the Empire's fleets gathered in response. The war would be long, difficult, and uncertain, But one thing was clear, the Empire was terrified and the rebels were ready.